dashing through the snow in my rusty Chevrolet. Down the road I go, sliding all the way. I need new piston rings, I need some new snow tires. My car is held together by a piece of chicken wire. Oh, what fun it is to drive this rusty Chevrolet.
Hello, and welcome back to HunterTuned. Today we're going to be working on my turbo Silverado pickup truck here. It's been a while since I've worked on this thing or even messed with it. Honestly, we kind of built it. We put a turbo kit on it and kind of just made our own hot side, made our own pretty much everything, threw a VS Racing Turbo from HunterTuned.com onto this thing and a set of decapped injectors from HunterTuned. We put all that stuff into this thing, and then we put a Wally 450 in the tank. It's got an eBay wastegate and an eBay blow-off valve, eBay piping kit, and then like an eBay intercooler as well. So I kind of wanted to mess with this thing a little bit. One, because it currently is on, I think, 6 pounds of boost on E85, and it's currently kind of running out of fuel pressure up top. So like when I tuned it a while ago, I had to kind of quit at 6 pounds because it doesn't do it in first gear, but like top of second gear at like 90 miles an hour at 5,500 RPM or something like that, the air fuel will start to gradually get leaner. So that's usually a good indicator that it's running out of fuel pressure. The way this truck, the power and stuff is, especially with the stock camshaft, it's going to start dying down in power where the injector duty cycle isn't going to keep increasing as the RPM increases. So like this thing's probably making peak torque around 4,000, I would guess. I have no idea, honestly. I'm just throwing a number out there. But it's probably somewhere in the mid-range where it's making that peak torque. And that's usually where your max injector duty cycle is going to be. The farther it carries out, usually you can kind of level the injector after that, and it will stay consistent air fuel. Or sometimes like Hondas and stuff like that, after about 7,500 or 8,000 RPM, you usually start to taper fuel out of the motor, above where the horsepower kind of starts to drop off. And like I said, that's why it's not running out of injector at all. I've ran these injectors going 9 seconds in the quarter mile with my Mustang, so I know that it has a lot more injector in it. And I had a 2006 Silverado a while back that I also had decaps in, and I ran that up to 24 pounds of boost with a 78-75 and a cam and valve springs and everything. But that had twin fuel pumps and all that kind of stuff. But I think the reason this thing's running out so fast is, one, possibly the fuel filter. So I actually took the fuel filter out of this thing. It's sitting over here kind of on the snow. Super rusty fittings. I could not even get them off. They literally, the line just snapped right off. The one line actually broke off. As soon as I put a wrench on the fitting, the fucking line started leaking. So I was like, okay, probably a good thing that I'm doing this. But I'm thinking maybe the fuel filter was a little bit clogged up, and that's possibly why it's running out of fuel. So I swapped the fuel filter out for a piece of rubber hose. We're just deleting the fuel filter altogether for the time being because, well, if you guys don't know, my Mustang that goes 9s, I've had that thing with no fuel pumps or no fuel filters on it ever since I put it together, and it's been, quite a while now. Year and a half or so, no fuel filters, and it just sits there. But a lot of the fuel filtering can come from the tank sock and inside the tank as well. So I mean, I've never had an issue not running a fuel filter, but like I said, I'll probably put one on this thing eventually. But just for the time being and testing purposes, I want to see if we can get some more fuel out of the motor in the top end of the pull here and see if the fuel filter was causing the issues or not. Like I said, I'll probably put a fuel filter back on it because I have driven the shit out of this truck. I've put over 10,000 miles on it already, turbocharged. We use this truck to haul my Mustang down to Union Grove a couple times. I've hauled my Hondas to the racetrack with it. And it's just a good daily driver other than the fucking gas mileage. So anyways, we're going to start with the fuel filter. try that out, go take it for a quick rip. And then if that doesn't work, I'm going to rewire the fuel pump, and I'm going to hot wire it. So I'm going to show you guys kind of how to do that. I already got a relay picked out. I got a 30 amp relay. I was talking to A21 Bravo. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, be sure to go check him out. A21 Bravo is building like a turbo 4-wheel drive Ranger that I've been following quite a bit, and I'm excited to see what that thing can put down, because he also might come ice racing with us, which I have a whole nother story on here in a little while. But anyways, I was talking to him, and he told me 30 amp relay should be good enough, and I was reading online, and guys are saying like 30 to 40 amp relays work for the Wally 450, which I usually run 30 amp relays. I just kind of wanted to make sure, like, should I be running a 40 or should I be running a 30? I'm not exactly sure. So anyways, I'm going to get some 8 gauge wiring and hot wire the pump. But like I said, I just want to check the fuel filter first, not touch the wiring, and see if the fuel filter was a restriction or not. So that's just a test we can do quick to see if the thing holds air fuel, you know, up in the top end of the pull.
Yeah, like I said before, I would stamp this thing with, you know, at the top of second gear before, it would run to like almost a 13.0 air fuel ratio. So the fuel filter was definitely causing a restriction. So fuck a fuel filter.
Okay guys, so we are back out in the garage now after we test drove the truck after I deleted the fuel filter, and sure shit, the fuel filter was definitely a restriction, and there was actually like part of the line that comes off the fuel filter was like kinked down at nothing. Like the stock hard line was really kind of bent in a shitty way from the factory, and it kind of just like kinks off the fuel flow right by the fuel filter there. So I cut the line after that, like, you know, shitty bend on both sides of the fuel filter, and then I just ran a fuel injection hose, and it turns out just fine. It's not leaking, and everything is good to go. I do plan on actually fixing it legit eventually, but for the time being, it'll be totally fine. I'll just carry a fucking hose clamp and some rubber hose with me in case it blows off. So anyways, now I'm going to actually be rewiring the fuel pump, and I'm going to be hot wiring it so it gets alternator power straight to the fuel pump, because the factory wiring on the stock top hat I think is only around 11 or 12 volts, and if you give it straight battery or alternator power, it will get whatever the alternator or battery has, which is usually around 14, 15 volts on this truck. So that will definitely kind of bump up the amount of fuel flow we will get out of the fuel pump. And then after I rewire the pump, I may turn the boost controller a couple turns and see how much the truck picks up, if it picks up at all. Kind of ran out of daylight today, but I do plan to take it back out for a quick rip after I rewire the fuel pump and possibly hook up the HP tuner cable to it and fix a couple spots on the tune, because I've been driving this thing for 10,000 miles now on this tune-up. And there's like 2 spots that are 12.5, like cruising. Like if you hit the gas just right, it'll go 12.5, like right in those spots. And it's kind of driving me nuts. So I want to fix up those little spots. Obviously, it's not really affecting anything negatively, other than maybe hurting a very small amount of gas mileage by having it be a smidge rich in like one spot cruising. But it's not like a make or break deal where it's going to actually hurt the engine. You know, some people are really concerned about that stuff with tuning, and you know, if they give me their car in like an hour of my time and they leave, you know, sometimes the tune might have like a 13.0 spot or a 16.0 spot, you know, and people get mad about it, but it is what it is. You know, that's just kind of what you get sometimes. Sometimes to get the tune completely 100% perfect, it does take some time. So I plan on maybe adjusting some of that stuff and whatever. So I did want to give you guys a quick update. I do have some stuff with the Mustang that I'm currently working on. I was filming a whole video yesterday with filling my block. I filled a Honda block with Chris Boyette's blue, like DevCon material. It's just like a homemade cylinder support system that I filled this LS block with. And I filled that thing, and then I went and got some Steelies, and I got some tires from a guy that weren't the right size, and then I got a hold of him, and he ended up giving me the right size wheel. And anyways, moral of the story is I have 4 Steelies now for the Mustang and 4 15-inch tires for the Mustang that I can stud. So I plan on doing that this week here, because I think, well, tomorrow it's going to be really cold, and I don't know how the weather's supposed to be in the next couple days, so I might not be out in the garage a whole lot. I might just be sitting in my bedroom studding fucking tires. So I plan on studding some tires for the Mustang. That is going to be awesome. And then I made a Facebook post about the studded tires and, you know, how I wanted to do it. And I was looking for wheels and stuff. And a guy actually hit me up and sold me these Weld, I think they're drag lights or something. These are front skinnies. So these are the skinny front tires. And then he also has the rears, matching set, Weld racing wheels, slicks and skinnies. The fucking front skinnies are brand new tires. The rears are, you know, way better than any slick that I have currently. And all 4 wheels, all 4 Weld wheels, and the slicks and the skinny tires, all for $100. I cannot fucking believe what kind of a deal I got on that. Super awesome. I'm super stoked about this. The Mustang's going to have some actual drag wheels now, and it's going to have some skinnies. So there's a 1/10 of a second right off the quarter mile right there from putting skinnies on. So yeah, that is super, super awesome. I'm so excited to get the Mustang back out drag racing, but first we have to deal with old man winter, and yeah, so we're gonna stud some tires and have fun with it out on the lake first, and then, you know, once springtime comes, we're definitely gonna bolt these things on and go have some fun with it. I can't wait to fucking bolt them on the Mustang. Alright guys, so I actually just got back from the parts store and I rewired this fuel pump real quick. It didn't take long at all. I just kind of tapped into the wiring that was back by the fuel pump here, and then I ran a wire from the alternator post. So I got a wire coming off of here now. So I got this red wire coming off the alternator post and running all the way back down to the fuel pump. So it's running along the frame rail, tied on to some existing wiring harness underneath the truck. And then if we come back in the bed, you can see my relay kind of tucked up in here. So the relay is right here. We got the power coming off of it. And then I just teed into the existing wiring here. So on this truck, the gray wire is the power, and the black wire next to it is the ground for the fuel pump. So I just kind of teed in to the existing wiring. It's actually 14 gauge wiring right here at the fuel pump. And I think the Wally, the Walbro 450 only has 14 or 16 gauge on it. And then I ran a big 12 gauge power from the alternator all the way back. But yeah, so I don't think... Whew. Fuck, I'm out of breath. Okay, so I don't think that the factory wiring is a limitation on this truck. I really just think it's a factory, like the voltage. So now that the pump is going to have alternator voltage, is going to make it go farther. But I don't think the wiring size is a restriction on this particular application. I know on Hondas and stuff, it's like fucking 22 gauge wiring going to the fuel pump. So when you upgrade from 22 gauge to like 10 gauge or 12 gauge on a Honda, it makes a big difference. But on this, considering it already has 14 gauge, I don't think it would make that much of a difference going from 14 to 12 on all the wiring. That is super cool. I'm going to go test this thing out quick. Holy fuck. I'm sorry guys, I'm like out of breath. Oh, fuck. So I'm going to go grab my laptop and plug it into this thing. I'm going to give the boost controller a couple turns. And we're going to go out and do a little bit of data logging with the truck and kind of see where we can get the boost. If I can get it to like 10 pounds, I'll probably just leave it there and call it a day. But I kind of wanted to just go over a few things on the tune as well. I'm just going to give the oil a quick check, make sure she's full of oil, and we'll hit the road. All right, what is up everybody? So I'm out tuning on the truck now, and we got the fuel pump rewired, and we can go a little bit farther now on the fuel, guys. I kind of went through and I tuned the map. I got rid of a couple rich spots and a couple, I just got rid of a couple rich spots that was cruising around and stuff. I still have to work out this idle. Sometimes, like when it's cold, idle in park it's fine, and then drive was lean, and now drive is perfect and park is rich. So I might have to play with some of my intake air temp or coolant temp compensation tables on the HP tuner here. I mean, this thing is fucking railing, guys. My boost gauge reads a little bit higher than what the log says. I hate when that happens because I don't know what to trust, honestly. The boost gauge says 10 pounds of boost, and my log says 148 kPa, so that is like 7 pounds. So, oh, my fucking camera's falling off the window here. It's too damn cold. It's kind of funny because my intake air temps right now, guys, are fucking 19 degrees. That's probably why she's making steam. That's probably why it's making good horsepower. But I approve. The roads are dry, but it's cold out, obviously. But this thing just blazes all the way through second gear now. It never spun like that before, and I added like 3 pounds of boost. I left the timing alone. This thing is on E85, and the timing is kind of aggressive for a little Gen 3 fucking squirt motor. I don't want to squirt the rods out of the side of the block like sloppy mechanics would say. But it's got 19 degrees of timing in it. You know, up top it starts out like 15, 16, and then ramps up to 19 degrees. But that's like between 7 and 10 pounds. My gauge says 10, my log says 7. I kind of trust this gauge because it just seems like it's accurate. It might be a little high, I'm not sure. But anyways, we're just driving this thing around, kind of tooling around. I feel like this thing's my damn house. It's so damn comfy. I love this truck because it's so comfy. These Silverados are just so comfy. I love them. Especially the older ones. You know, the only downfall to the older Chevys that are not drive-by-wire, or not drive, the ones that are drive-by cable, the only thing that sucks about them is the fucking connecting rods are a lot smaller. You know, and this turbo is really small. It's the Borg S3366 or whatever. It's a 6673 from Varen, and this thing lights off like nobody's business with a stock converter and everything, stock cam. You know, and I think maybe partially, I don't know. I don't think I'm floating the valve springs yet, and I don't think I'm at the limit of anything else. I think I'm actually at the limit of the one fuel pump at this point. I haven't logged injector duty cycle, and I don't want to because it probably is going to read high, and I'm not going to want to pay attention to that. But if I put a second pump in it, I just wish I could and wire them both solid all the time, so I wouldn't have to deal with a Hob switch, or I wouldn't have to deal with like a booster pump switch or whatever the fuck. I want to just have like both pumps on and not have overriding pressure, because if I run both pumps, if I run 2 pumps on the factory lines and the factory everything like that, the fuel pressure will spike up because it can't return the fuel fast enough. And I could put a bigger return on it and shit like that, but I don't really want to dick with it. This truck was meant to be a tow rig. I'm just kind of getting ahead of myself at this point because I really just got a bug up my ass and wanted to play around. So we rewired the pump, and now we got it up to 7 to 10 pounds. Before, the log was only saying it was at like 130 before I turned the boost up a little. And the gauge would read like 6. So it might only been on 3 or 4 pounds before, and now it's on 7. I'm not sure, but it is kind of getting lean because, I don't know, I'm at the limit of something, and I don't know what it is because I punch fuel in it. It doesn't richen up anymore, but it's like a 12.0 air fuel. So I think I should just leave this damn thing where it is and not fucking touch it from here, because I feel like this low a boost on E85, a 12.0 air fuel is not going to hurt it. And I think we'll be okay just kind of leaving it where it is. So I think we're just going to leave it like I said, but kind of wanted to show you guys quick how I tune HP tuner stuff, or at least like cruising around like how I tune cruising air fuel. So I'll just pretty much be driving down the road, right? And I'll have the scanner running. And when the scanner is running, you're going to see this map reading right here. So this is map sensor KPA. So right now it's reading 35 KPA at 850 RPM, and we are running a 14:3 air fuel ratio. So this spot really doesn't need to be adjusted, but if you wanted to, you just go to the VE table on the HP tuner here, and you can adjust. The left side of the columns here are all KPA, and then the top rows or whatever are RPM. So we would have to go to 35 kPa at 800 RPM and adjust these cells right here accordingly. And then as I'm driving around, I kind of see like, okay, at this spot when my foot's on the gas, it's like a 13.0. I want to pull like say 5% or 10% or something out. I just have to hold my foot there, and then I go to the laptop and I look at the KPA reading at what RPM that spot was at, and then I just kind of revert it back to the VE table here, and then adjust that section, and then make sure everything is interpolated and smooth all around the area that I adjusted. So that's kind of like basics with tuning on the VE table on HP tuners. At least that's what I do. You know, a lot of people can get more, you know, fancy with it, but I don't know. I'm pretty used to like, you know, basic Hondas and shit like that. So they're just like a pretty standard fuel map. And I'm really, I wouldn't say I'm like a novice at doing it. I feel like I'm pretty good at tuning a fuel map. You know, like a map, you know, not having no other kind of fancy stuff. Just doing like basic ignition map and fuel map. Fucking sign me up. That's why I like my Mega Squirt on the Mustang too, because it's pretty simple, basic, straightforward. Fucking plug it in and go. So anyways, I'm gonna do a quick rip in this thing for you guys and show you how much faster it is now. It may be kind of hard to tell between the two, but I'll tell you right now, the butt dyno says I picked up at least 50 horsepower. Dry the tires off a little bit. There's spots of the roads still that have snow on them, so I'm trying to, I found a road that's like completely cleaned off, but I was pulled over on the side filming before, so my tires got full of snow. I just kind of wanted to get the snow off the tires, and then we can make a hit like a street outlaw, bro. I think I'm gonna tune this thing for like a 16.0 air fuel ratio on the highway too, because I want to try to squeeze a little bit better gas mileage out of it. And I'm not scared of like a 16.0 or a 16.5 air fuel. Just cruising down the road, as long as it's not misfiring, it's a-okay in my book. And the leaner you can run the air fuel ratio without it misfiring, the better gas mileage you're gonna get. Let's fucking whip a Yui, eh? Yeah, I tuned that spot too, like right coming into boost there. It's like 13.0, so the turbo stands up a lot sooner too when you set it up like that. So I'm gonna put this bitch in third gear and fucking let her eat. That was 120, guys. 40 to 120 that was. Wow. This thing fucking hauls the mail. It ain't bad at all for a big old 6,000 pound truck. Where you at, diesel bros? Where you at? I love racing diesels in this thing, because diesel guys always think they got a bigger weehoo than you do. Not always, but a lot of them with the big old dick stacks, you know, then you definitely know that guy has a way bigger wiener than you do. All right, punch it in first to second here, watch this. Just fucking blowing them off. Just right fucking blowing the tires off. Wow, wow, dude, this fucker rips. I'm stoked. All right, guys, I'm gonna floor it from like 30 miles an hour. This is completely dry concrete too, so I'm not bullshitting nobody here. 30 mile an hour. Let's see if I can get a little more light on the speedo here. There we go. Just fucking blowing the tires off. This thing actually hauls ass now. Before it was kind of mediocre, you know, it wasn't like super fast, but it wasn't super slow. But now it's like fast. It's not super fast, but it's fast. It's enough to put a smile on my face. And that's what counts, right? So, I'm super happy. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. I think I'm going to end it off here. And thanks for all the support on the last video. It definitely did pretty good. I think it's got like 3,000 views already. And it's only been up for like a couple days. So definitely maybe putting a little bit more effort into the videos pays off. I don't want to do it all the time. I want to get back to kind of just normal Hunter talking all the fucking time and vlogging. But I feel like the little edits and stuff here and there kind of spice up the videos and keep people watching. So, but anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys, and I'll leave it off here.